trying to figure out why you read this stuff. You read the way you read it. Yeah. And you explain that before you go on. Yeah, I can. It's part of predestination. I thought, why you even read Urdu stuff when your English may come from a Protestant background? Yeah. Well, it's almost like Calvinism or something. So, yeah. Well, and you talk about the quotationist philosopher, the one who constantly is compulsively reading books and quoting things. Oh, is that a person who constantly quotes things as a quotationist philosopher? Yeah. Well, they have people who quote verses from the Bible a lot. Oh, so why don't you have some way of explaining whether you're... in Calvinism, are you predestined to be a saint? Are you the elect? Or is that why you're reading? Yeah, I noticed you've been reading John Bunyan's A Pilgrim's Progress. And it's in English, and what have you figured out? Well, there's actually another book here. It's an Oxford World Classic. Oh, you're just reading classics, yeah. This one's John Bunyan, The Grace Abounding, with Other Spiritual Autobiographies. This explains what's happening. This is called page introduction, Experimental Calvinism and Spiritual Autobiography. This brief biological sketch has largely overlooked the aspect of Bunyan's life which is perhaps most crucial for an understanding of grace abounding. The religious culture into which he was born, the Reformation, was triumphed precariously in England from the ascension of Elizabeth I. Yeah, and Elizabeth II just died. Brought to the lives of English people a set of Protestant beliefs. Also, it's your Protestant belief that you're trying to figure out whether you're... Whose dominant inspiration was the Genevan theocrat John Calvin. You're not a Calvinist, are you? Oh, I'm just saying that this is the way the English behaved. The most influential of those, though not the one Calvin himself would have liked to stress, was a strong form of predestination. A strong form of predestination. So you do believe in predestination, or a strong form, or a weak form, which is explicit about the assignation of damnation, of reprobation to the majority of mankind. So you're saying that the majority of mankind is not reaching enlightenment, or not getting elected, or are you a Calvinist? Damnation to the majority of mankind before their creation, as it was about the salvation or election of the chosen few. So you're trying to figure out if you're in the chosen few, or you're trying to get the people that listen to this podcast into the chosen few. This is known in retrospect as double predestination, the doctrine derived logically from Calvin's emphasis on the absolute sovereignty of God. So ultimately this podcast is governed by the absolute sovereignty of God. God was all-powerful and perfectly just when human beings were wholly impotent and corrupt. He's perfect and people are corrupt. Calvin would allow no fudging of this. I don't think we should allow fudging. But you're not a Calvinist. Calvin would allow no fudging of this, such as the substitution of divine foresight for actual divine ordination of all that happened in the world. to allow human beings any choice of freedom of choice would be to derogate from God's sovereignty and to qualify human depravity. Not being able, in theory at least, to do anything to improve their chances of salvation. People were thus driven to an often anguished introspection, aimed at establishing whether they were members of the elect. Yeah, I'm reading and at the same time we're trying to figure out if you as a listener or me is a member of the elect. Just by having read this book, whether they were the recipients of saving faith or saving grace. Yeah, so what we're trying to figure out if you have the saving grace. And this is I'm reading from Abounding, Grace Abounding, with John Bunyan, Bunyan, Saving Grace. I'm trying to get saved as well. They were helped in and held to this endeavor by a pastoral ministry, which both in pulpit and print concentrated attention on what were called the signs of election and reprobation. The most influential English Calvinist was William Perkins, who in 1589 published a treatise tending unto a declaration whether a man be in the estate of damnation or in the estate of grace. Yeah, we're trying to see if your third eye got opened or not. A church historian, R.T. Kendall, says it inaugurated a new era in English theology. The preacher for whom the quest for signs was his central preoccupation tended to be those known as Puritans. And the form of Calvinism, such an emphasis promoted with experimental base that is on the evidence of experience. The individual Christian's life and mental states should exhibit conformity to pattern of elect experience. William Perkins and Dr. Bunyan himself even drew a map of the phrases through which the elect should pass, counterparted by the progress of the reprobate to hell. The elect would receive an effectual calling to do a podcast. The elect would receive an effectual calling, which would be followed by justification, sanctification, and eventual glorification. That you could glorify yourself eventually in a podcast. While the reprobate would either receive no calling at all, or a calling not effectual, followed by a yielding to God's calling, relapse, fullness of sin, and damnation. Yeah, I could just give up meditating and podcasting and just go back and relapse into the fullness of sin. Wow. Yeah, what I'm trying to say is,
¿Qué? Oh my God, te creciste.
What is that?
Mi mamá me está cargando.
Ah, oh my God, yo pensé que te habías crecido de la noche a la mañana. Dile que te vas a bañar.
Mañana.
Oh, qué bien. Dile bye.
Bye.
Bye, hija. ¿Va a ir al daycare?
Sí.
Okay.
This kind of explains the approach of Bunyan's writing of the Pilgrim's Progress, because he writes this thing that's replete with quotations from the Bible. So that like every 2 pages he'll have about 6 quotations. He's constantly quoting within the text of his book quotations from the Bible. Oh, is that yeah? So we're talking about that stuff, the biblical quotations. The Bible was, of course, the claimed resource of the theology. Bunyan's map mentioned above is made up of biblical quotations, but it is probably truer to say that the theology determined a reading practice. Yeah, we're talking about a reading practice. Is that why you're reading? Are you John Bunyan? The theology determined a reading practice which turn the Bible itself into the ultimate book of signs. Yeah, like you read the Bible to determine find a sign that you may be in the elect. By having read the Bible, you're elected, I guess. Or if you quote it a lot, you could be elected. Reading practice which turned the Bible itself into the ultimate book of signs. It was shifted for its binary application to the reader's own life. Yeah, and then you apply these quotations, like, let's say you're reading poetry or you're reading Khalib or somebody, and then you apply them to your own life as you're reading poetry or you're reading scripture or something. That way you determine if you have a sign that you are elect. Yeah, I'm trying to, on these 1,000 podcasts, I try to prove that I'm elected or get elected. Or wait a minute, you could fall back into sin and damnation. It is shifted for its binary application to the reader's own life. The Old Testament provided types or metaphoric foreshadowings of New Testament events, and both Testaments could do the same for the personal experiences of the reader. In this podcast, Bunyan's most prostrated anguish involves feared identification with both Cain, who sold his birthright, and Judas, who darkly sold Christ. Yeah, I'm trying to avoid being identified with those two. He seeks to differentiate his circumstances from theirs and associate himself with Peter, a type of forgiven traitor. It was a compulsive reading practice. Yeah, I've known people that they compulsively read the Bible as they're sort of like evangelical people, and they reject everything else but reading the Bible. So, and they'll make you go to church and stay for many hours and read the Bible. It was a compulsive reading practice, which led, as is evident, not just from Bunyan, but from the likes of the semi-literate Agnes Beaumont, to extensive memorization of the Bible. Yeah, I guess when I was reading the Bible, I identified key quotations. I don't think I would memorize the entire Bible, but you end up memorizing key verses, perhaps, and then you could write. Yeah, you could write a sort of Pilgrim's Progress with all your quotations. You could then write your autobiography with the quotations from the Bible. Yeah, if you've memorized them. Yeah. Bible verses usually taken from the King James translation. Yeah, you have to use King James because what? What is it? Yeah, if I'm going to be the king, I have to use King James. What happened? The King James translation? Okay. Oh, nice. Occasionally from the Geneva, we're woven into the fabric of consciousness. Yeah, then this constant compulsive reading practice of the Bible can be woven into the fabric of consciousness, helping to construct identity. Now you could end up becoming, that's nice. You find the nicest things. Maybe. She's getting ready for fall and she's looking at a raincoat. She's compulsively shopping on Amazon. So she'll become, what? It's become, oh, that's pretty. The mommy, the blue one. I like this one, it's pretty. This one, look. Like, it's light blue. That's pretty. Put that in the... Yeah, well, I'm compulsively reading the Bible. She actually does it too. Right? Then she switches to compulsively shopping on Amazon. We're woven into the fabric of consciousness, helping to construct identity. Yeah, so like if you shop a lot, it makes your identity to be a materialistic capitalist. But if you read the Bible a lot, you become the elect. So you could become elect, or you may be the elect, but I thought you couldn't choose. Huh? Bunyan's Pilgrim Progress, or Davy Gravy's progress in this podcast. Bunyan's Pilgrim Progress is presented similarly as a book of signs in which intimate and anxious engagement, self-identification is encouraged.
It is.
Yeah. So
No, mejor el otro.
I'm encouraged to bring about self-identification with the poetry of Persian and Urdu and various animistic poets. Bunyan's Pilgrim Progress is presented similarly as a book of signs in which intimate, anxious engagement, self-identification is encouraged. Wouldst read thyself, and read thou knowest not what, and yet know whether thou art blessed or not. I'm trying to figure out or get myself blessed or not by reading the same lines. Or, oh, then come hither and lay. Yeah, I'm looking for the magnificent grace of the Master. Grace abounding relives the experimental religion of an individual. Yeah, so this is an experimental podcast of an individual on religion. Grace abounding relives the experimental religion of an individual who wishes to regard the testimony he gives and the very act of scrupulous self-reading. I'm reading as constituting the evidence, the signs of his election. So this podcast is evidence of my election. There are numerous ways to read a book: skimming, memorizing, careful study, quiet reading, reading aloud, reading with the body, reading with the mind, and reality reading. Yeah, that's what this one is. This is a reality podcast. Yeah, I'm reading, so I have evidence now from my other readings that I'm elected to do this podcast. And this is from Zen, actually. If you take the Blue Cliff Record translated by Thomas Cleary, in the forward, page 11, he says, we're talking about, the Blue Cliff Record is, this is Dharma's expounded by the Buddha and stuff, and the forward says, boundless wind and moon, the eye within eyes, inexhaustible heaven and earth, the light beyond light, the willow dark, the flower bright, 10,000 houses knock at any door. There's one who will respond. Yeah, there's only one person of all these thousands of listeners, there's only one who will respond. From China to Japan, to starting Soto, Zen, etc. He says, there are numerous ways to read a book, so I'm trying to figure out exactly how I'm reading books in this podcast. There's numerous ways to read a book. Skimming. I'm not real. I don't know if I'm skimming them, but memorizing. You can memorize parts of them. Careful study. Quiet reading, or reading aloud. Well, apparently I am reading aloud. Reading it with the body, yeah, and I include a lot of stuff about the body and exercise and playing tennis and volleyball. reading with the mind. Then I talk about issues of the mind, dealing with the mind in meditation, and reality reading. In this last kind of reading, which the Blue Cliff Record requires, it's required reading. In this mode, you yourself become the case. They have these koans, I guess. A koan is you yourself become the case. Yeah, so I am myself become the case. In these poetry readings, I'm the center of attention. So it's all about me, and I become the case. I was able to tie my reading style in this podcast with my Calvinistic, English, puritanical background, and with the Christianity, and I'm trying to figure out if I'm predestined to do this podcast and find the signs of election by quoting and compulsively reading the Bible, and look at the quotations and look at the style of quotationist philosophers. Yeah, you can develop a philosophy from your quotations. So I presented that from John Bunyan's Pilgrim Progress and the Blue Cliff Record from Zen and Buddhism. And so that only makes sense how you're reading it, I guess, because you're trying to figure out if you are elected. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out if I'm going to be elected to receive initiation into the light and sound of God, and the Nam or word or logos, music of the spheres, and all those things. But so that now I'm able to read. So from Buddhism and Christianity, you're able to read Persian and Urdu poetry. He was a Muslim, so now you're embarking on Muslim stuff. Yeah, I'm going back now to Mirza Khalib's K.C. Kanda's translation, page 239. When the gentle breeze scatters fragrance from my darling's locks. When the breeze blows, I can smell the scent of my wife, and I can just stay in bed. And what happened? Huh? What are you looking at, Mommy? Gusta. David, porque solo. When the gentle breeze scatters fragrance from my darling's locks, the deer of the Tartar desert gets drunk with musk discharged. You can get drunk on reading quotations from the Bible. And you can get drunk with the musk discharged. So you figure out if you're elected. Whose mysterious sight of God keeps our eager eyes awake? Yeah, I'm trying to keep my eager eyes eager and awake. Oh, what is it?
En Pasto.
Pasto?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Colombia, yeah. They're on the parking?
Mm-hmm.
Or they're hiking? Oh.
No, en Pasto.
On Paso?
Pasto.
Yeah. Whose mysterious sight, oh God, keeps our eager eyes awake. So, with bated breath, the mirrored earth is all expectant, all awake. Yeah, this is like bait. So, respondent are my eyes twain. Plaintive is my heart. Yeah, in this case, my heart is the plaintiff. So, the case of the gaze mischievous will come before the bar. Yeah, this case is a mischievous case of the gaze will come before the bar association, and the plaintiff will be my heart. Respondent are my eyes twain, plaintive is my heart. The case of the gaze mischievous will come before the bar. Yeah, this is, well, we talked about the case that you won yourself is the case. I, myself, am the case. The case of the gaze mischievous will come before the bar. So that's what's happening here. The dew is sprinkling water drops on the petals, glossy, smooth, soft. The spring, O nightingale, is ready to depart. Yeah, in this case, our summer is getting ready to depart. So, now that he has given me word, now that the master has already given me the word, or the nam, or the logos, or the utgit, or the shapt, or the music of the spheres, or the sonorous light, or the unstruck music. Now that he has given me word, I must perform this podcast. I must perform my task of doing this podcast. Or I must do my task. I must perform the task of meditation, actually. I must perform upon. I have to listen to it, so I have to listen to my own podcast as well as listen to the music inside my head. Yeah, there's a funny line where it says that, Kirpal says that when Sawan Singh is about to meet Jamal Singh, somebody mentions to Sawan Singh that Jamal Singh is putting musical instruments into people's head. So, yeah, he puts music in your head. I have but to wait and watch whether he came or not. Yeah, and right now, on meditation, I just sort of wait and watch to see whether he comes. So, better gather for your nest a few straws, a nightingale with the spring. A burst full force, hardly will you find a straw. Waste not your heart, O fool. It is a gift divine. Yeah, I guess my story of my life is just trying to learn not to waste my time in doing something other than meditation. Waste not your heart, O fool. It is a gift divine. It is not an aid to truth transcendent. It is your love's resort. Yeah, and these words are not just an aid to truth transcendent. It is your love's resort. I presume I'm immortal. Yeah, so the bottom line is I'm assuming that I'm immortal. So, yeah, the whole basis of the philosophy and stuff, of doing all this stuff, is based on the assumption that I'm immortal. Yeah, if you weren't immortal, like, why are you doing all this stuff? I presume I'm immortal. Eternal seem the joys of life. Oh, death, unpredictable. What are you waiting for? Yeah, he's unpredictable. So, yeah, death is definitely unpredictable. It's even advanced, like, spiritual people, that the date of your death is supposed to be hidden from you. So, oh, death unpredictable, what are you waiting for? Yeah, what is he waiting for, anyways? Yeah, what's he doing? Yeah, I don't understand what death is doing, so... Oh, death, where is thy sting? Yeah, I could sing about that in the Messiah. Oh, death is predictable, what are you waiting for? Yeah, what are you waiting for? Why aren't you moving on in this reading? Yeah. Oh. happened? There was a breeze blowing, so you didn't play tennis? Yeah, when there's wind gust, I just decided there's wind gust, I don't play. So, are you doing a podcast? Yeah. So, the wind blew into this podcast. Oh, I see. So, I continue. The world, to me, is a kindergarten where children sport and play. A show goes on before me. Be at night or day. Yeah. Yeah, the other people playing on the tennis courts, whoever they are, to me, they're just like children playing in the sport. Solomon's throne is to me a Babel commonplace. The miracles of Christ are just a trivial tale. Yeah. Yeah, they're just trivial in a way that they talk all this. Yeah, I was reading the New Testament, and Jesus Christ is doing all these miracles and healing people of blindness and leprosy and raising them from the dead and all this stuff. But then, ironically, he tells them, say, don't tell anybody about it. So then they go out and tell everybody about it. Well, so you were interested in more deep aspects of Christianity than the miracles, yeah. Yeah, I don't believe in the faith healing stuff, because it got him into a lot of trouble. It got him crucified. Oh, yeah. Solomon's throne is to me a Babel commonplace. The miracles of Christ are just a trivial tale. How could you say that? Well, I didn't say it as Khalid said it. Oh, okay. Well, they also are used by these faith-healing ministers to try to promote themselves and to get paid. So they give money. They start a cult around people who need. They're hoping you have cancer, so you'll come to them or something. The miracles of Christ are just a trivial tale. The world, to me, is a mere phantom without a solid core. And technically, when people's physical bodies don't actually exist, so it's trivial doing healing. Yeah, well, wait till you get sick and we'll see how you feel about it, okay? Well, yeah, but the world to me is a mere phantom without a solid core. The worldly things are to me mere elusive shades. Yeah, they're like elusive. And even the sounds, the racket going on is elusive. So I have to shut the door. So the racket is an illusion. Oh, okay. So these things are an illusion. Ask me not how I fared in your absence, sweet. Rather see how you blossom before my eager gaze. Yeah, I'd rather see how you blossom before my eager gaze. You can ask me how I fared in your absence. Sweet. The desert hides itself in dust, seeing me approach. Yeah, if anybody sees me approaching, they hide themselves. Really? Yeah, what happened on the tennis court? Yeah.